I have never done this before, but I'm actually bringing on one of my brand new clients who we haven't even started live coaching together in the Unstoppable group, but she has had such lovely results simply in joining the group a few weeks ago that I wanted to share her experience. I asked her if she wanted to share her story, and she agreed to come on the podcast. So I'm so excited to have her perspective and her story in joining the group and what she's been noticing simply just in getting access to the course, the curriculum, the videos, and some of the mindset shifts that she has noticed just in joining. The reason that this conversation even started was me and her were chit-chatting on Instagram in the DMs, and she was just sharing with me how she's been feeling better, how her scrubs are feeling better. She's an OBGYN, so we connected immediately when we first met. And she's had ChatGPT make a graph of her weight. She was sharing her weight graph trending down, and it just made me realize the power of having a comprehensive strategy when you know the specific decisions that are going to move the needle the most with you losing the weight you want, but really supporting your hormone health and you feeling your best, how it can be such a relief. I want my clients to feel like they have a strategy that they can lean on. One of the biggest gaps that I have been finding in talking with so many women is you know how to plan. You've had a nutrition plan before, but if it didn't last, there was a strategic gap. There might have been a gap in how you get back to yourself if you go off the bandwagon, or how you handle stress or boredom, or how you take a break in your life when you've been really busy at work or at home. What I really love about the Unstoppable group is the moment you join, you get access to our strategy mini class, which walks you through what I believe are the key needle moving decisions that can fit into your life. Camille, who's coming on the podcast today, used to think that she didn't have enough time. And of course, as an OBGYN with unpredictable hours and kids, it's very easy to tell your story that I don't have enough time to solve this problem. When I have more time, then I will focus on myself. And what I told her then was, we actually do have a lot more time than we realize, but we are wasting hundreds of hours per year on indecision and rumination and second guessing and not being sure of the exact strategy, so we end up waffling and wobbling on making forward progress. I love that she gets to share her story of how we met a few weeks ago and how some of these strategic decisions and mindset shifts that she has gotten access to simply from joining the program has led her to start feeling better, which has a ripple effect on her entire life. If you want to claim a spot in the spring cohort of the Unstoppable group, now is the best time. You can head over to www.burnstressloseweight.com/group. There's a button there that asks you to apply, answer a few short questions so I get to know you, understand your specific goals and obstacles, and then we can set up a time to talk and decide if this is a good fit for you. Without further ado, let's talk to Camille about her experience in how she has been feeling before we have even started. Okay, friends, I'm so excited to bring you one of my brand new clients. This is Camille. Camille, we've been chit-chatting. You haven't even started the official group yet. We're starting in a few weeks, but you and I have been chit-chatting a lot in the DMs on Instagram. And I just had to have you on the podcast because of all of the awesome, cool things that we were sharing. So before we get into all of that, tell us a little bit about you and how we met, which I think is so fun. And we're going to get into it.
Thank you so much for having me. First off, I am intimidated but excited to be here. I think it's very cool to already get to be involved, so I appreciate the invite. I'm Camille Roque. I am an OBGYN in Northern California. I met the lovely Priyanka when I was at the Live Wealthy conference in Oahu with Bonnie Koo. That was my first ever CME conference to begin with. Moms in practice that are just trying to find some sort of balance and getting to know even like how to be an entrepreneur. And I came out of that conference with so much more than I was already expecting. And then just seeing your name and the title of your talk was on perfectionism at that conference. So I was like, oh my gosh, I think I need to hear this. I came out of that with also the totally new perspective, and thing I actually needed, I think, out of that conference was like, hey, this year is the year I need to work on myself and finally kind of take that into action. I think I just needed someone to kind of kick me into that gear. So I really appreciate your talk because I think that's kind of what helped me kind of get me into this action step now. So that's kind of where I started in terms of like meeting you and meeting lots of lovely women at that conference. And then from there, have just tried to keep that momentum going, coming back to work.
Would you say before you heard the talk on perfectionism, stress, and cortisol that you identified as a perfectionist? Or were you like, no, I'm not really a perfectionist. That's not really me?
Yeah, I think it has not been a thought until I realized maybe more that I've been having stress for like no reason, where it should be like a very lovely, take a vacation or a day out with my family. That should not be stressful. But the expectation of like, this is what this and this should be like is a perfectionism tendency that I don't think I actually realized until I sat down and had to sit down and think, why is this stressful right now, or why are my emotions the way they are? So I think it's still something I'm working on, but I do feel like that is probably kind of a light that showed up, like, hey, maybe this is all related to tendencies that I've already kind of had and ingrained in me, and then just kind of perpetuates.
Yeah. I think that that's actually one of my favorite things to share. And this is with, I think, overachieving women across the board. And it was something that I noticed in my practice as an OBGYN, but this is just for professional women, how we will hold back on taking action because we have these perfectionist tendencies. We want our life to be perfectly smooth. We want our schedule to be like, like a jigsaw puzzle. It's perfectly figured out. We want to keep waiting to feel confident and certain first before we take action. And I think you can tell me whether this feels true, but that's how we've been trained in medicine. We don't
Mm-hmm.
go and operate on someone unless we have some confidence that we can have a successful surgery, right? So I think this is
Right.
one of those things where you tell me, how do you think that that has influenced you hitting your goal weight or struggling with weight loss before we started talking?
Yeah, so I totally agree that I think it's been ingrained in our practice and just kind of like, oh, we're going to school. And then you go to the next part of the schooling and you do this training next. So it's always, there's something always next. And I think your talk and even just the conference itself where we met came at a right time for me, because in my life right now, I'm about 2.5 years in practice. I just finished my OBGYN board. So it's always the, oh, once I'm done with this, then I can do my next step. So it was very much in my mind like, oh, finally I'm done with boards. My toddler's going to continue to grow. And I know I can't use them as an excuse anymore. It had always been me. Like, once I'm done with this, then I can focus on myself. The surprising thing about it is that we have the discipline in us, it's ingrained in us. We know that we can do it, but there's always an excuse that can happen. So for me, it was definitely blaming the time, which I know is not an excuse anymore either. And that was something I think we brought up when I first met you at lunch. And you're like, well, time is always going to be, you always have the same amount of time, but it's like, how do you make the priorities happen so that you actually use the time wisely? And it's true. There's so many times of the day you're just wasting time on your phone. So use that time wisely, right? So I think the discipline I know is there, and I've done it before. In terms of my weight loss journey, I think I did the Weight Watchers kind of like points counting thing for about 2 years before my wedding. And I was an intern in residency. So I definitely was at my highest stress levels and newest chapter of my life in training. And I did it then. So I know I can definitely do it again. It's just the discipline and finding no excuse anymore, because there's always going to be something more, especially now as a busy working mom. There's always going to be that when I come home. So where is the time going to ever come? I have to make that priority for me. So that's why I took that big leap of faith that I said, I think I need Priyanka to help me out with that.
You were mentioning that you have had success in the past, right? Like Weight Watchers, and then there's counting points and macros and nooms. Like there's like 10 other strategies that people have been successful with. What do you think it was that led to it not staying successful?
I think it was either complacency, like I met my goal, or I felt good already that I was like, oh, wedding's done. I have so many other things I need to do now. There's probably that component. And maybe it just wasn't sustainable at the end of the day, because I think the part that you think is working, you kind of ingrain it in your body. Like, I know which foods are what allocation of points, and you get really good at it. And then after a while, it just isn't sustainable. We love to travel, we love to eat out. It's like you can't always be doing that kind of counting. So I think at the end of the day, it's probably not sustainable to do.
I remember for my wedding as well, I think I was doing my Fitness Pal. So I counted all the points and I was eating the 100-calorie oatmeal packets. That was my thing. And like a lot of lettuce, salad. So I was like definitely hitting my allotment, and I lost so much weight for my wedding. And then the day after the wedding, I was like, well, we're not eating 100-calorie oatmeal packets anymore.
Right.
We hit this goal because we think the goal was like the whole point. And then
Yeah.
we forget, like, wait a second, there's a lifestyle here. Something is strategically missing if I go back to my old way, right? When you do go off plan, let's say you do become complacent because we're human and sometimes that happens, we need to have a specific strategy to get right back on. The moment you realize, like, oh, we've gained a couple pounds back, or oh, my clothes are not feeling so comfortable, or my body's not feeling so good, we need to have a strategy to get back on. Like, we never left off, no drama. And I think the second piece you mentioned was the sustainability piece. You want to have a strategy you can take with you around the world, right? Like we're
Mhm.
in Hawaii at this conference, and you want to be able to have a strategy that you have in your back pocket no matter where you are, which to me is sustainable. I'm curious what you think about
Mhm.
that.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm very excited for that. And just starting off looking at the strategy video you have and just getting a change in my mindset has already been very key, I think, in this process. And I think that's really what's going to lead me to sustainable action
Yeah.
because the mindset change is so different than being on the mindset of a tracking my fitness pal or my Weight Watchers type of thing because the tracking is different. I know this food is good for me. I don't know exactly like how many calories it is, but it's definitely non-processed. It's like a good whole food and it's okay to eat this. Just that relationship with food, which I'm actually really excited for because I think that's what at the end of the day is what I need to probably work on the most. Like you said, we've all been disciplined, we've all been trained. I can definitely do it again with that way of macros and numbers, but I think it's the mindset switch that I'm really excited for that I already a little bit, I'm seeing it for sure. And I just know it's going to be exponential from here.
I don't think I've ever had a client come on the podcast before they've ever been in the group. So I think you're the very first one. But one of the things that, and this is why I wanted to get your perspective, because the moment you join the group, there's like a fire hydrant of information. Like there's so many videos and modules, and like it can be very overwhelming because I do like to teach a lot. But also the moment you join, you get a series of emails that tell you exactly which video to start with, where to like what's step one, what's step two, what's step three. So I'm curious when you first joined, what was it that made you feel like something is shifting specifically in the strategy videos that you got access to?
I think it comes down to what is going to be my action after something happens, and also not using food as my go to, like, this is what's going to make me feel better, because actually it will make me feel better for about 5 seconds and then it'll be back to normal again. But I think the main takeaway was also just like getting into the action right away instead of doing my planning for days and just knowing that, hey, I'm going to do this, but get to it. So I think that's what really was the light under everything, was that I was like, I need to just go and start this because there's never a
Yes.
better time. And I think that
Yes.
was part of your talk as well.
Yeah. When we were talking on Instagram, you were saying that you feel better in your clothes, even just in the past few weeks. You've lost weight and you don't have the cravings for the
Mhm.
sugar and the processed foods, which has been amazing. As you said, I'm shocked and I feel better. And you made this chat GPT, this like really awesome
Yes.
graph with your weight. I'm kind of curious about your perspective since you're newly coming into the program and you're already having such amazing results. What specifically helped you really create this experience of your cravings for the processed foods are gone and you're feeling so good? Like, what specifically do you think you're doing that's helped with that?
I think in addition to the mind shift, I know that food will always be there. And I think that was
Mm.
something you discussed in like a podcast that I was listening to. So
Mhm.
by the way, I'm catching up on all of your podcasts on my commute because I have about 20-30 minute commute. So that's been fun. So one of your podcasts, I think you said, you pre-eat before the OR or something. And I was like, that is totally used to be me or is me still. But it's like food will always be there. It is okay to be hungry because there you will eat after this. If I am watching and looking at what I'm eating and like really reading the ingredients and seeing that it's not processed, then I think that craving just naturally goes away because your body is like actually never really needed that ingredient. And
Right.
so I'm pretty shocked by it, to be honest. And yeah, I think I've felt better. Like my scrubs feel different. The scale has come down. It's been amazing so far. So I'm really excited. And the chat gpt thing I think was fun. That was another point you made. Let's make chat gpt do some meal prepping, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what this chat gpt is. I literally had to start it and make the login or whatnot, but now
Yeah.
it's fun. It's kind of like, hey, I'm telling it, log my weight for me because I still
Yeah.
want to, I think that numbers of seeing
Yeah.
things helps
Yeah.
motivate you.
Yeah,
I
this is
think,
so good. So, what I think is so important is when you join the group, you unlock, I mean, of course, the entire curriculum, but there's two or three videos that I have all of my clients start with. The first one is the strategy mini class, which I think you referred to. So we talk about the nutrition, but the other pieces that you've been referring to is the mindset piece. And then
mhm.
the other piece, the other video that I really love is how to meal plan like a rock star. And that's where we get into Chat GPT and like some of the prompts you can use to think about. I think of it like a personal assistant. If you have a busy life, if you're a busy professional and you also want to hit this goal, how can you fit it into the time that you have? Speaking of time, it's like a video that really walks you through that process. So, coming back, we were talking about time because this is a big one, especially like you're a physician, you're on call, so you have unpredictable hours if you're at the hospital. I know before we started working together, it's really common to think, oh, I just don't have the time. What specifically shifted for you to make the time to do this?
I think there was always a time there, but it's a matter of how you actually prioritize it.
Mm,
Because instead of hanging out on the couch doing nothing, just mindlessly scrolling on your phone, I could use that even if it's 5 to 10 minutes of just, sitting, and I use it a lot for looking at my next day, like what I'm going to eat,
mhm.
and just like feeling good about like, okay, my plan is there. It feels good to plan, but it's very doable. So I think it's just prioritizing what you're using your time for. It's always been
Yeah.
there. And I know, my toddler's always going to be needing us at bedtime. So when I'm there, and even if I'm just laying with him next to me, getting him to sleep, I
Mm.
can still use that time and not just like mindlessly scroll my phone. I can use that time for actually planning out some meals.
Right.
Just kind of
Right.
even, it's there. It's just using it wisely.
This can be kind of a spicy topic because some, especially professional working moms, if I say like time's not your problem, I can see somebody getting mad at me, be like, you don't know how
Yeah.
many responsibilities I have and how much time. And I get it. And also, the longer we blame time, the longer we are wasting in solving this problem
Mm.
because time is just passing, but it's how we prioritize our time, how we use our time, how much time we spend in indecision and rumination and random back and forth, this or that, this or that. We are wasting hundreds of hours of time. I love sharing that with people, especially with professional women who just want more time, which we're going to get to save now. So if you go back on the last few weeks, how much time has it taken for you to feel better, have more energy, you're losing weight, you're feeling better in your scrubs? How much time has it like practically taken over the last couple of weeks?
It hasn't taken much extra time at all. I'm surprised that doing this for 3 to 4 weeks. I have my planner, and I was going to tell you this. I was like, I don't know if she's going to like that I have a planner of literally my meals now, but I like doing that because you can
Yeah,
see it all and then I
yeah.
can just like write it out. That takes me no time at all. I'm always like that, anyways, where I want to kind of see what the week looks like. It's kind of now ingrained. Took
Yeah.
a couple days, but I think it's just the mindset change was probably the hardest part. And then once you're in it, I think you just keep going.
What's so crazy is once we make those strategic decisions and it becomes kind of a repeatable system again and again and again, you end up having more hours back that you're not thinking about this anymore, that you're not remaking
Right.
decisions. You can actually spend it with your kid, being present with them, being present in your relationships, which to me is one of those hidden wins that you start to get once you solve this problem, which
Yeah.
I don't think that we can even imagine until you start going through it.
Yeah, and I'm excited. At first, you kind of get overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, Priyanka said I should meal prep. And I do like to do that, but now I have to do extra. But actually, it saved me some time in that sense that, like, now I have this healthy meal service for my lunches. So even that little thing, yes, is an investment and it's extra, but actually has saved me a lot of the mental load. And even the action steps are still very doable now.
It is an investment, right? Like doing a meal delivery service or hiring something out so that you have time back for yourself
Mhm.
or doing a program. Like these are serious investments. What
Mhm.
were the hesitations that you had before you did it that you were like, oh, this is a serious investment that made you maybe, hesitate for a few moments? And then what was it that let you decide that you really wanted to do this, even though maybe you were nervous about it?
So my husband is in finance. He's basically our budget and numbers guy. And I'm very thankful for that. I would say that helps me so much because again, I want to do my job. I'm going to let him do his job and that's how we work as a family unit. So it's been very helpful. And so I'm really happy that with the support of him and like kind of talking about it, we thought this is an investment for life, basically. And I think no one's ever planning ahead that far, like, oh, I'm going to save this chunk of money to use for a coach. I mean, for me, this is my first time using a coach in general. So I was like, this is already a big step and just a new territory. I have no idea what I'm going to get myself into. But I think we just took that leap of faith of like, hey, I feel very connected with you. I feel very comfortable talking with you. So I think that was already a huge part of it, that we have to invest in something that I know is going to be long term. It was a big jump, but I think thankfully with, our work that I could do it. I feel very blessed in that sense that we will just set the time and the money for it.
I now think about just investing in my goals. The goals that I have for myself, if I got the most return on those for my life, what else would I want to be spending my money on? And I say this often, investing in your brain and your body, your health, it's your number one retirement investment.
I know the part about investing in the program is like, okay, this is going to keep me accountable and keep me like on my toes, that, yeah, even if right now, if I'm 3, 4 pounds down, I feel like that's a start. So I'm just looking forward to the program just to learn probably so many things that I didn't even think I needed to learn or even implement in my life. So looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's so fun to have you. I know we've been chatting a lot on Instagram, but this has been so fun. And I'll see you guys all next week. Bye. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation with Camille. I just love sharing real stories at different points in my clients' journey, whether it's before they have even started working with me, but they have just gotten access to pieces of the curriculum, or talking with clients that have gone through the process that have really loved coaching and the mindset shifts that they have experienced, or clients that have hit their goal weight and how they're feeling at maintenance. One of my favorite things about this podcast is telling real stories. A lot of what I like to do is to share my real life obstacles, my real life sticky moments, the real moments that I gain weight and the real moments that I go off plan, because those are not really the interesting parts of a story. For me, the most interesting parts of the story are what we do then. What do we do after we have been faced with the obstacle, after you have already hit your goal weight, but then you went off plan? When we can finish that story, when we can learn how to meet ourselves, have our own backs, strategically get back on to the bandwagon like we never left off, in my experience, you can change your whole life. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode. I really love this conversation with Camille. It was so fun to chat with her live. And if you have been considering coaching, if you have been getting this flicker of a voice that unstoppable coaching is a part of your future, then I want to encourage you to stop waiting. It is a serious investment to invest in yourself and to invest in your goals. And also, just my opinion, investing in your brain and body is the number one investment that you can ever make. If that sounds like you, if you want to solve this problem, head over to burnstressloseweight.com/group, or you can send me a message on Instagram. We can talk that way and let's decide if this is the right fit for you. I hope you guys have an amazing week and I will see you at the next one. Bye.